Hi, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Matt.
And I'm Kathy.
And I have to say, Kathy from the LPCH school just went on an amazing trip to the Amazon. How was it?
I did. It was very, very hot. It was very, very buggy. It was humid. It was amazing. And there's a lot of things that I want to show you.
I can't wait to see. Was it Amazonizing? No, that was really bad.
Amazonizing. It was Amazonizing. That's actually pretty good, Matt.
I don't know. That was a pretty bad joke, but thank you. I appreciate your support.
Of course. Yeah, it was really. It's one of those things that I think that when I think of the Amazon, it's like you get this picture in your head of the old-timey pith helmet, like quicksand. Like everybody sinks in quicksand, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, there's no quicksand there.
That's good.
Yeah. But you get this, it's a very like romantic, adventurous ideal. And it is wild, for sure. And it is crazy and very biodiverse, but it's not really like what you think of in the cartoons.
Absolutely. And you've been on a lot of different adventures. And how did this one shape up to the other ones you went on?
Wow, that's an interesting question, Matt. It was, so the Amazon is very biodiverse. But the thing about it that I think people don't quite realize is that the animals that you see are not on like a big scale. So like if you're in Africa, you see an elephant and a giraffe and like these huge things. Right. Whereas in the Amazon, there's trees everywhere. So it's not like you're gonna see very far into the distance. And a lot of what you see is little. And so it's a lot of close up looking at things, but it's absolutely amazing.
And I heard that since the Amazon has like so many trees, it produces a lot of oxygen. Is that right?
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about why it is where it is and why it is as diverse as it is.
Ooh, I can't wait. Well, should we get started?
Yeah, let's get started. So I went to this is I took this picture. I actually took the other picture too. Yeah, it was very cool. So the Amazon, if you can see right here, there's a river. It's very, very wet right there.
Right.
And so first of all, do you even know like how big the Amazon is or where it is?
I think it's in South America, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess it is 570 miles long.
It is a lot longer than 500.
Really? Dang. How long is it?
So 575 miles is sort of like from here to Los Angeles, right? Like that's about how long it is. Now, the Amazon is about the size of the United States.
No.
Yes. It is enormous.
That is crazy.
People don't quite realize how big and vast it is. Yeah.
I love this picture. I see you put the outline of North America on top of the Amazon,
So
right?
this is the United States. The black is the United States, and then the red outline is essentially the Amazon basin. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's a little bit smaller, but like still, we're talking from California to New York. Like
Amazing.
That is how long. And a lot of it has to do with like a lot of the tributaries that flow into the actual Amazon River. So when you're actually looking at the Amazon, so you said it's in South America.
Yes.
The Amazon River and its tributaries are the green stuff.
And tributaries, is that kind of like a river type of thing?
Small rivers that flow into bigger rivers.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know that the Amazon is a rainforest, and that means that there's a lot of moisture happening there.
Probably really humid, right?
So humid. I mean, So basically, I took maybe 2 or 3 showers a day, and the instant you get out of the shower and dry off, you're
already sweaty again.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was so hot and humid.
So is it like nearly like 100% humidity?
It's in the 90s all the
Wow.
time. Yeah, it's like you're swimming in. Yeah, it is. It was insanely humid. Yeah. But anyways, one of the reasons why the Amazon is where it is do you see this orange stuff right here? Do you know what that is?
Yes. Are those mountains?
They are. Those are the Andes Mountains. So the Andes Mountains are actually a really, really tall mountain range, thin, but it's a tall mountain range that goes across the entire western side of South America. And what that does is it actually helps create what is the Amazon basin. So if we look sort of in profile, whoops, let's get rid of us. You have the Andes Mountains kind of on the west, so the Pacific Ocean is even further to the west. So it blocks off it kind of stops where the Amazon is. So what happens is, the Amazon has a lot of trees.
Right.
And trees actually breathe, right? So you have all this moisture created by the trees, and it becomes clouds. And as the clouds are kind of moving westward, they hit that mountain range and they stop there, trapped there. And sort of as a side note, on the other side of the Andes Mountains is a desert, and it's really, really dry, and there are some places in that desert that in the history of recorded man has never rained.
Really?
Because it's so dry.
Wow.
Because all that moisture is stopped.
That's
It's trapped.
crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
But anyway, so that moisture gets trapped by the Andes Mountains, and it starts to rain. So then it will pool. It'll go underground and sort of start collecting, and it starts kind of running downstream until it forms rivers, which eventually flow
Wow.
into what we know of as the Amazon River.
Right.
And in the meantime, you have this really swampy area, and that's where all that moisture is going to go back up into the trees.
Right.
So it's this kind of cycle that happens.
That's
right?
amazing.
Yeah, it is actually very, very cool.
So basically, the mountains are blocking the clouds. They
Yep.
get stopped there. All the rain pours down. It piles up, and then it kind of gets distributed through the entire
Cycle.
Amazon.
Yep, and then it
Wow.
goes back into the trees, which again, sort of like through a process called transpiration, it basically like leaves the trees and goes back up again. And it's just like this big cycle that happens there,
Amazing.
which is
Wow.
really, really amazing. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, so there's one other thing that is a little bit, it's actually important, but it's a little sciencey. I'm going to get into a little science lesson right now.
I love it.
But I want to teach you a little bit about what's kind of happening with the Earth.
Sure.
Okay? So, as you know, the Earth has, outside of it, we breathe air. We have an atmosphere.
We do.
And the atmosphere is sort of made up of all these gases. So, during the day, the sun is kind of awesome because it shines a lot of light. It's infrared light that kind of comes down at us, and it warms us up, and it keeps us nice and toasty.
Gives a lot of people energy, right?
Gives us energy, gives plants food. And then at nighttime, a lot of that energy, if we're not careful, we're just going to keep heating up, but that energy can escape, right? So it's a nice balance because we don't want to have the sun continually baking us, otherwise we'll get way too hot. We
Right.
want a little bit of that energy to escape. The thing is that as it's escaping, sometimes it'll hit some of those particles that are in our atmosphere, and it will bounce back down again. Okay?
And is that like this one right here that's going to bounce back down?
Yeah, and if you, I'm bad at pointing. If you notice right here, right where my finger is, there's like a little tiny darker gray line. Okay?
Right.
And it's not actually like, this is not to scale. I know that my graphics surprisingly are not to scale.
It's all good.
But if you look closely at that, I sort of am trying to represent how much stuff is in that atmosphere. Okay? So the thicker that line is, meaning the more stuff we put up there, the more there is that's going to bounce back that heat. And so if it gets too thick, a lot of that heat is going to bounce back to us, and it's going to make us hotter, right? So those particles that are up there, those are called, have you ever heard of greenhouse gases?
I have.
Yeah. What is a greenhouse?
A greenhouse is basically a spot where there's like a lot of light that's able to come in and a lot of plants grow, right?
Why are the plants able to grow there?
Because of the sunlight, right?
It's
And the humidity, right?
and the heat.
And the
So
heat.
if you notice in this picture, those plants would never be able to stay alive in the snow like that.
Right.
But they are alive in that greenhouse because the greenhouse is trapping that heat and keeping it nice and warm and moist and all that stuff, right? Which is great if you're trying to grow tomatoes in the middle of the winter, but it's not so great if you are a polar bear living on an ice cap,
True.
right? So this is going to get a little bit scientific, but
I'm ready.
those greenhouse gases are made up of things like methane and chlorofluorocarbons. There's a lot of different gases that are up there, but the main one that we want to look at right now is that light blue this stuff right here, that's CO2, which is carbon dioxide.
Okay, right. And then that's what we breathe out, right?
Exactly. That's what we breathe out. And the other thing I want you to notice about this picture is basically sort of showing you time-wise from the 1980s up until like kind of today. That blue line, actually all of these lines is going up, meaning there's a lot more of these greenhouse gases in the air.
And why is that? Is it because of global warming?
It is because of global warming.
Okay.
Okay. So the Amazon plays a huge part in this. So have you ever heard of the Amazon being sort of the lungs of the earth?
I have.
Yeah, because a lot of people kind of say that, right? So what do lungs do?
Lungs basically are the organ in your body that help you breathe.
Exactly. Exactly. And for humans, what we do is we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out
Carbon dioxide.
carbon dioxide. Exactly. Well, the interesting thing about trees and plants is they also breathe.
But they breathe in carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to teach you about why the Amazon is so important in this process. The Amazon, as we saw, is basically the size of the United States. It's enormous, and that's a lot of trees.
Right.
And vines and mosses and like things like that. So therefore, when you have that much plant life, it's going to breathe in carbon dioxide and it's going to breathe out oxygen. So these are sort of scientific, it's the scientific names CO2 and O2. What do you notice is different between CO2 and O2? Like what's missing? When you breathe in CO2 and you breathe out O2,
The carbon is missing.
the carbon is missing.
So basically, is the tree absorbing the carbon and
Yes.
only exporting the oxygen, right?
Yes. So through a process called photosynthesis, it uses sunlight and then it uses the carbon dioxide and it takes that carbon and it basically combines it with the water in from the roots and it makes sugars and glucose and different things like that. So basically, it's taking that carbon out of the atmosphere. It's a process called carbon sequestration. So there's a lot
big
of
word.
It is a big word, but basically, this just means that it's holding on to carbon. Because we would rather have oxygen, which is what we breathe, than carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide is the thing that's contributing to the greenhouse gases. It's going to
Right.
get us warmer and warmer and warmer.
And humans, we utilize a lot of things that produce carbon dioxide,
Yes.
right? So it's good that these plants are absorbing it to give us more clean oxygen.
Yes. But one of the other things that we're doing that is really not good is we're chopping down a lot of these trees.
I know, it's so sad.
So sad.
Save the trees.
Seriously, save the trees, people. So just very, very quickly, I want to show you one of the things that happens is when a tree dies or we chop it down, it can keep the carbon either down in the ground through the organic matter, which is kind of dead trees. And so, like if you think about a leaf or the bark of a tree, it's made up of something. And so a lot of it has to do with, there's carbon involved in that.
Right.
Or if it goes way down deep into the ground, that's basically what fossil fuels are. So like the gas that we use, the natural gases, the petroleum, the oil, all of that stuff is based on dead organic matter, and that has a lot of carbon in it.
Right.
But if it decays or if we burn it, we're sending that carbon back out into the atmosphere.
And then we need to have some way to absorb it
Get
back,
it back.
right?
But
Which
if
is-
you, right, but if you cut down all these trees,
You're not going to be able to absorb as much.
yeah. And in the Amazon right now, so this is going to be a little bit of a complicated photo.
Okay.
But on one side, this is April, this is November. So this is not very many months between these two things.
So this is early 2020 and then late 2020 over there. Okay.
Exactly. And
what are
all
we
these
looking
little
at?
arrows actually match up. This arrow matches up to this arrow, and it's now pointing to.
Is that where trees are chopped down?
Yes.
No.
So this is deforestation. So deforestation is basically humans coming in and either clear cutting, meaning just chopping down the trees and taking the wood for whatever reason, or actually burning it. And usually they're doing it for cattle, for grazing of cattle. But-
Are there any like particular like policies or something protecting the Amazon?
So right now we're gonna it's complicated, but right now the president of Brazil is not really big on protecting. So he's more interested in the economics of it because there's a lot of money involved in, for example, cattle ranching. And so
Right.
it's more important in his mind for the people of Brazil to be economically stable. I mean, Brazil's a kind of a poor country, and there's a lot of people that would like to have more money there. And there is money in cattle ranching because we eat a lot of beef,
Right.
right? So, yes, if you look at the good of his people, it's better for them to have cattle ranches here. But if you look at the health of the entire planet, it's really scary what is happening right now. And they talk about the loss of the Amazon rainforest, and it's happening so quickly that it's very, very scary.
Oh, that is scary.
It is scary. So this is one of the reasons why we need to understand what's happening down in the Amazon. And also, it's a reason why you need to understand why your actions affect what's happening down there, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm definitely not saying that you can't eat beef because I love a good hamburger.
Me too. I love a good steak.
I love a good steak, but I don't think that eating it every day, first of all, it's not healthy for you to eat it every single day, but it's also not great for the planet if you're not careful about where that beef comes from.
You're talking about like sustainability and stuff like
Exactly.
that?
Yeah. So it matters. So things like this matter. The other reason why I think the Amazon is so awesome is because it's just such a cool place to be. And it's one of those things that when you look at pictures, it really just doesn't convey the awesomeness and the scope of it. But I'm going to try really hard. So would you like to come on a little journey with me?
I would love
now?
to.
Yeah? So basically, I went down, this is just last month I was down there. And what we did is we first flew in. So much green. So much green. It was beautiful. So we flew into Puerto Maldonado, which is in Peru. Once we got to the airport there, we took a bus to the river where we were. It's the Tambopata River, and we got into a boat. So we rode on this boat for maybe two hours or so, and we land on this basically a mud bank and hiked through the forest.
Wow.
So yeah, this is basically what the rainforest looks like. And it is beautiful, right?
Beautiful.
It really is. It's truly amazing. And you can't tell from the just looking at the video, but the sounds in the rainforest, like it's just a constant
Just
buzzing.
hear wildlife all the time?
So much. It's buzzing and chirping and croaking and things jumping, and you hear, but you can't see what's going on there. It's really it's scary a little bit, but so cool.
Did you get by any bugs when you're down there?
So many bugs.
I bet.
And we're going to look at some of the bugs that I
Okay.
saw. So one of the things that I think is funny, so we're walking through the forest, and then we get to our eco lodge,
Oh,
which
so
was
cool.
beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it so cool looking?
It's great.
And the rooms, beautiful. But what's
wow.
missing?
A bathroom? Maybe?
No, there's a bathroom that
There's
you
a
can't
bathroom?
see.
What's missing? A TV.
There's a wall missing.
There is a wall. Oh, there is a wall missing. You're right.
So all of our rooms had 3 walls, and one wall was open to the jungle, which means everything could come and visit us.
Yeah, was there a screen or anything?
So there was no screen, no. It was literally open to the jungle. But do you see how there's something kind of like sitting over the beds?
Yeah, is that kind of like a net that you put around to protect you?
Yeah, those are mosquito nets. So you
Okay.
sleep under a mosquito net every night. But pretty much during the day, anything that wanted to come in would just come in. So all our, if there's any snacks or anything that smelled, you would put it, there's like a little safe kind of thing that you would put it in. But we had some visitors.
Oh my gosh.
Like, can you just look at the size of that thing?
That is massive.
It was like flying around my nightstand. So
What is that?
It is an Australian cockroach. Is
Oh.
what they call it.
Wonderful.
It was beautiful, but a little horrifying.
Oh, yes, a
And
little bit both.
I did not want to go to sleep with it because it's when they move around and fly, they're really loud. So I was like, friend, can you come and just like just get it out. And so, yeah. And I was really glad that there was a mosquito net because
Ah!
that's me.
Is that a mosquito?
It is a katydid.
Okay.
So, which looks a little bit like it's kind of like a grasshopper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so big.
And they're beautiful and they don't hurt you. They're totally fine. But I don't really want one crawling on me while I'm sleeping.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a ton of biodiversity in the rainforest.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to kind of backtrack a little bit about sort of the biology and like the way the rainforest looks, there's
Yeah.
different areas of the rainforest. So where we were standing is basically the forest floor.
Okay.
So in the forest floor, you're going to see a lot of things like jaguar, first a lot of bugs, but you're going to see a lot of the animals that are on the forest floor, like armadillos and jaguars and
Aw.
yeah, snakes and things like that. Then you have the understory, which is sort of like, at eye level and a little bit further up when you're kind of like looking across. You have the jungle is very lush. So even though you have these super, super, super tall trees, underneath the trees, you're still going to have a lot of greenery.
Right.
Right? And then up on the top of those trees, that's sort of the canopy, and that's where you're going to see the monkeys and the sloths and the iguanas and things like that.
And Kathy, can I hear you do your best monkey impression?
But I have to say that there were some monkeys that we saw there that made the weirdest noise. We were just like, what? What is that? Is that a bird? And the guide would be like, no, that's a monkey.
Interesting.
So, yeah, there were some very, very interesting sounds because there's not just one species of monkeys. And so
Right.
there's some of them are really small and they would just make these really high pitched squeaks. And then you would have these, they're called howler monkeys. And if you've ever heard a howler monkey,
heard, yep.
deep, and you can hear it from miles away. So
That's so cool.
it was interesting, like in the middle of the night when you're just like, there's no wall. So you know that there's just things out there and you're hearing all these noises. And the jungle comes alive at night. A lot of the animals are nocturnal. I think one of the reasons why is because it's so hot, so they just have learned to maybe move around a little when it's cooler. But
Yeah.
so at nighttime was very, very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But basically, so let's get back to
And then there's a top one, right?
I'm sorry. Yeah, so then you
emergent
have what's
layer?
called the emergent layer. So you have this canopy of trees up at the top, and then once in a while you'll have a super, super duper, like a tree that's just like, I'm just going to peek my head up over everyone else and take a look, and that's the emergent layer. And so up in the emergent layer, there's some monkeys and snakes and things that will crawl all the way up there. But for the most part up there, you're going to have a lot of bird species. You're going to have what's called a harpy eagle, a lot of macaws. Did you see the movie Rio?
I did.
Yeah, so you're going to see a lot of...
Welcome to Rio, Rio. Do 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 do
Yeah.
do.
Yep, and it's real. Like, yeah, they're there. So
That's so
it's one of those
cool.
things that you kind of think to yourself, I thought they only lived in pet stores. Right?
When you see it in real life, you're just like amazed.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, yeah. All right, so let's go on a little hike, shall we?
Let's do it.
The first thing we saw on our hike...
Is that a centipede?
It is a millipede,
Millipede.
and it is really big.
That is very big.
It was very big. And millipedes are poisonous,
That's what I thought.
and they are kind of scary to look at. They're actually not going to really do anything to you. Centipedes are actually worse. Centipedes are venomous, meaning they'll bite you. Millipedes kind of secrete an oil that's going to kind of like bug you. So bug you. Get it?
Ha ha ha! Dun dun dun.
But I was not going to touch anything.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much nothing in the jungle you want to touch. It's
Because you never know it's poisonous or not,
oh
right?
my gosh, everything's gonna bite you, kill you, eat you, sting you. Yeah.
Better
yeah.
be safe than sorry.
Oh yeah. But I do. You know what? As an aside, there are some amazing medicines in the jungle that we don't even know about. Back to our millipede. He's not the only one I saw.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of different kinds of millipedes. They were all, we're talking the size of a hot dog. I mean, these things were big
Crazy.
and beautiful. They were truly, truly beautiful. They say that something like 20% of the animal, like the weight of animals in the jungle, are ants.
Really?
And there were so many ants and so many
Wow.
kinds of ants. There's so many ants crawling on this path that they
Are those red ants?
dug a trench. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So these are some kind of a red ant. I don't actually know the exact species of this one. But yeah, I was amazed because there were so many of them on this one tiny little path. But to kind of dig a trench because there's so many of them.
Amazing.
And then this one is an interesting one. So this is an army ant, which hurt if they bite or sting you.
Are they kind of like poisonous to humans?
I don't know if they're poisonous, but they will bite you, and it's a painful bite. But one of the things that I want you to notice is that some of these guys have like a big yellow head. You kind of can't see it too well in here, but the interesting thing is the native people that were there, they really know how to use the jungle. So they don't have modern hospitals, but
Right.
they have learned to use, so this is one of those soldier ants with the yellow head, and it has a big, if you notice, a really big mandible, big jaws.
Right.
They use those as stitches.
Really?
So if they cut, and you'll see, they get a cut, they'll take one of those ants, place it in the right spot,
And then the ant will bite
break
it?
off its body.
That's crazy.
And so those are used as stitches.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Yeah. So they really know how to use the resources of the jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something else that we saw a lot of, and I don't know if you remember, we actually had a visit from my friend Erin,
Yes.
who studied butterflies.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, those are beautiful butterflies.
Aren't they so cool? And I actually took all of these pictures, and this is not even close to being all of the types of butterflies we saw. Wow. It was truly, truly amazing how many
Which
there were.
one's your favorite on here?
On this, probably the 88, just because it's like so cool looking.
So cool.
This one, the 88 butterfly. But one of my favorites, and I think this was a favorite when Erin was showing it to us too, is this
The
guy
glass
right
one,
here,
right?
which is the glass wing, and then here's another glass wing. So they are definitely see-through. It was crazy. I was
Amazing.
like, what in the world? Yeah.
So cool.
We saw several of these glass wings. Something else that we saw, I know it's hard to tell what that is. And when I walked by it, I was like, oh, look, it's just a piece of fluff.
It almost looks like an anemone.
Yeah, like an anemone, right? And then it started moving. It's a caterpillar.
No.
Isn't that hilarious?
That does look like a piece of fluff. That's crazy.
Right? I totally thought it was this tiny little, just a random little piece of fluff. No, caterpillar.
Do you know what type of butterfly it turns into?
I don't know what that one is. Yeah,
That's
it's
so
crazy.
cool.
This one is called a false burnet moth. It's a cocoon. But look at this cocoon that it made. It's like a little
Amazing.
basket.
It looks like a little woven basket.
It was so cool. This was probably my favorite caterpillar that I saw.
Whoa.
This one, again, about the size of a hot dog.
I'm guessing that one's definitely poisonous.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think it's kind of amazing because every single one of these has a very, very, very sharp spike on it. So it was clearly saying,
Stay
do not,
away.
do not touch me. But it was so bright that you could very easily find it. And yet it's like, I'm really, really bright because I want you to know that I'm here and I don't want you to touch me. But then you can also kind of do the opposite, which is I'm going to hide and I don't want you to find me at all, right?
Right.
And so we saw a lot of things that were super hidden. So these are both katydids. And they
Wow, they look
totally
just like a
looked
leaf.
just like a leaf. It was kind of crazy. I was actually even kind of proud of myself for having spotted one of them because I was just like, they really just blended into
Yeah.
everything. The other thing that I thought was cool is watch the way this guy moves.
He's kind of almost like does like a little dance slash like one step forward, hold,
Yeah.
step forward.
Yeah, I think he was basically mimicking a leaf in the wind. And
oh,
even
no way! I could totally see that.
Yeah.
because like how leaves like when they go in the wind, they kind of
They
like
sort of
go a little bit
sway
and
a
then kind of
little
sway
bit.
and then continue. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
And if you look kind of closely at his like little legs, they just have these like little bumpy things that he looks like plant matter. He doesn't look like he's a bug.
so true.
So it's super cool. Weird patterns and shapes and colors.
I've never seen. These are all the same type of animal.
They're all just random. Most of them they're all insects.
Okay.
Different kinds. Some of them. So a lot of these I posted on. There's something called iNaturalist, which is you post a species and then there's like experts that will go and like tell you what it is that you saw.
Right.
And some of them people were just like, I don't know what it is. And they'll tell you like generally, okay, that is a type of leaf hopper. That is a whatever legged.
That top one I have never seen ever in my
Oh my
entire
gosh, when I
life.
saw that, I was just like, what is that thing? And it was pretty big. It was like maybe 2 to 3 inches. Like it was pretty big.
Wow, so like almost like the size of the palm of your hand
Yeah,
almost?
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Some of them are tiny, and some of them were enormous. And beautiful colors. Like they're like jewels. Every color of the
Beautiful.
rainbow out there. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Spiders like you would not believe.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't like spiders, close your eyes for like maybe 20 seconds because we've got water spiders bigger than the size of your
Oh
hand.
goodness.
Brazilian wandering spider that not only was it huge, but they're highly aggressive and venomous.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it was kind of scary seeing him because you're just like, I don't want him to run after me because he's a little
Don't
scary.
come over here.
Lots of these little beautiful jumping spiders, tiny little jumping spiders. Whip spiders. So this is a tailless whip scorpion. And it was big. Like, big.
Ah.
We have, his body was, this is an orb spider, an orb weaver. That big bulbous part was about the size of a ping pong ball.
Wow.
This one is beautiful. But I don't know if you can see up above him, like at the very top. So this is a female, and the one up and above is a male. So it
Wow,
kind of
big size difference.
Yeah, so it tells you shows you the size difference between the males and females. And then probably my favorite. So this is a garden orb weaver, and nobody really knows why they make that X decoration on it. But I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Didn't really want it to be that close to my face, but you know.
Hey, that's an awesome photo.
Have to take the photo. But yeah, I thought it was really, really beautiful.
Yeah, and then most of those spiders that you showed, do you think like most of them are poisonous or kind of depends on the one?
I think it depends on
Yeah.
the one. Yeah. I think spiders generally are not, except that Brazilian wandering spider. He's a little bit scary.
Yeah, stay away.
Yeah, seriously. And then also we had visiting us on the walkway. So this is a pink-toed tarantula. And I really, really wanted to see one of these because you can't tell in this is actually at nighttime. They have very pink toes. Like you could
Oh.
totally tell that
You can tell the color difference. You can't tell what color it is at night, but you can
pink,
you can
but
see
you can
it's
see
different.
that it
Yeah.
has like it's almost like it has painted toenails on it. So yeah, so that was very cool. Something else that I thought was interesting was this is a scorpion. Did you know that scorpions glow in the dark?
What?
You didn't know that?
All of them do?
Pretty much all of them do. Yeah.
Do they
So,
like absorb like sunlight or something?
I think what they do is they will absorb the light and then they basically emit the light at a different wavelength. So that's what makes them glow.
Interesting.
But a very good way to find them is to bring a black light with you, which I did. So actually,
no.
that's how we found him.
That's so
Because he's
cool.
pretty hard to. I mean, like he wasn't very big, and sitting in the branch like that, like he's pretty hard to see. If you imagine just walking
Yeah.
through the rainforest, there's a lot of branches and a lot of trees. You're not going to really see that. Isn't that cool?
It's amazing. And where did you learn that trick from?
It's just something that you pick up.
You pick up,
You just pick
okay.
it up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So very, very cool. insects out there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then for that photo over here,
Uh-huh.
did you like shine a black light and then take it with like a DSLR camera or something?
I literally took that with my iPhone.
No.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then just a million trees, which was very, very cool.
I like how the one on the right side has all those little leaves kind of going up.
I know.
That's very cool.
I know.
Like a pattern.
I know, yeah. So then moving up, we did a lot of looking upwards, but we saw, let's see if you can tell what this thing is right here.
Is that a sloth?
It is. It's a two-toed sloth.
So cool.
I know. So that was very cool. And the way we found that is our guide says to us, we're like hiking in the forest and we stop and he's just like, I smell sloth pee. And we were like, what?
It has like a distinct smell or
He
something?
could smell it, and apparently they climb down, they do their business, and then they climb back up trees, and they're up in the tree for a week, and then once a week they come down.
Wow.
And so he knew that there was a sloth somewhere nearby, which I'm just like, that's incredible.
So
It was
cool.
super cool.
And they're on the canopy part, is that right?
Yeah, so now we're moving up. Exactly. So this is up in the canopy. I don't know if you can see what these are.
Are those birds?
They are. And there are scarlet macaws. There's blue, above your head, there were some blue and yellow macaws.
right here.
There's red and green macaws. We went to, it's called a clay lick. So they go and they eat the clay because they're trying to get minerals in it that they need. And so just hundreds of these birds.
So kind of like how humans take supplements,
Yes.
they go to eat this clay
That-
for their
yeah.
supplement for the day.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Crazy birds there. Just crazy looking birds, beautiful birds.
The colors in that one.
Yeah, I know, right? And then, of course, this is right outside. You can see the fringe of my room. And this is right outside my room. And there were monkeys. Like literally right outside my room. So there's a spider monkey in the middle there. Behind your head, there's actually a howler monkey over there somewhere. We saw, these guys, which are little saddleback tamarins.
Oh, they're so cute.
We saw these guys, this guy. Just randomly, we're like hiking along, and all of a sudden, I had no idea there were tortoises in the rainforest. No
Me
clue.
either. And the last time that you did a show with us, you showed us your trip to the Galapagos, and there was
Yeah.
a big tortoise over there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I had no clue that they were going to be here too, and we actually
No
saw two
idea.
of them. So it was a yellow-footed Brazilian tortoise.
Wow.
Who knew? I have these out of order, but these are little squirrel monkeys, which were so cute, and they were
Aw.
about 100 of them, and they were all around us,
Wow.
which was very, very cool. This animal is called a capybara,
Yes.
and it is the world's biggest rodent. So it's kind of related to a hamster or a mouse.
It's so cute.
Isn't it cool? But they're big.
Yeah.
And then let's see if you can see, what is that?
A tree?
It is a tree. Do you see any animals?
Is that one on the bottom?
Okay, let's
Kind of like right here?
now do you see anything?
On the tree?
Uh-huh. Okay,
I
let me give you a different
don't.
let me give you a different angle. Now do you see something?
Is that a crocodile?
It's not a crocodile.
Alligator?
There's 14 animals on this.
Are they the ones hanging on the bottom?
They are. If
What
you
is
look
that?
a little bit closer,
Are those bats?
they are.
Wow.
They're long-nosed proboscis bats, and you can see the little nose.
They
But
camouflage
how
so well.
Isn't that insane? We were really far away from that, and the guide was like, "Oh, I see. There's like 3 or 4, no 5, no 7, no 10." 12. We were all just like, What? We don't see anything.
Amazing. And then are those
Crazy.
bats nocturnal as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, pretty much because bats eat bugs, and so they'll come out when of course there's bugs all the time, but a lot more bugs come out in the evenings. Yeah.
And then the one animal that you showed back a little while ago, is it the capybara? Is that how you
The
say it?
capybara, uh-huh.
Capybara. If you all saw the most recent Disney movie, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what Disney movie I'm talking
I
about?
don't know what Disney movie you're talking about.
Okay, have you seen Encanto?
I haven't. I know.
You haven't seen Encanto?
I have not.
Oh,
I
it's
know.
so good. Well, they have one of those animals in the movie.
I need to get myself some Disney Plus.
You do.
I know.
And then you can start singing We Don't Talk About Bruno, because it got stuck in everybody's heads over this past year.
Yes.
So good. Those bats are incredible.
Right? I know. And you thought you saw in that photo,
Wow.
and this is actually not an alligator, it's a caiman, which is a little bit smaller than that. It's the same family, so it's
Okay.
like crocodiles, alligators, and caiman. So this is a caiman, so we got to see him, which is cool. So interestingly enough, where we were staying, to get to sort of the lobby from our rooms, you have to walk down this really long walkway. And so I did. Walking, and I'm by myself. And
Oh, is that a snake?
la-di-da-di-da. I'm by myself. And so I'm just like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Because I have no idea what kind of snake it is,
it's poisonous, what's up.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out it was not, but apparently these are called whip snakes because when they get scared or feel threatened, they'll whip you with their tail. I'm like, kind of wish I had gotten whipped by a snake. That's like a lost opportunity right there.
But yeah, no joke. Snakes are like my worst fear in the entire world. So
really?
I will
They're a
walk the
little
other
scary.
way. Like
But it was beautiful.
I think they're super cool creatures, but I just don't want to be close to them. They freak me out just because like the way they slither, you never know which
Yeah,
direction
it
they're
is
gonna go.
a little bit.
And I'm good with any like animal, bug or whatever. Like I've even scuba diving and there's sharks kind of by me. I'm like fine
You're
with that.
fine.
But
But
when
it's
it comes to snakes,
It's
I'm like,
snakes.
oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And out there, the scary thing about the ones that are out there are, you don't know if they're going to be venomous. You don't know if they're going to be aggressive because, like, we saw an Amazon tree boa, and apparently they're very aggressive, and they will. It's not that they'll bite you, but they'll strangle you, right? And there's anacondas that are
Really dangerous.
sneaky
Yeah.
and the thing is that I think snakes have kind of a bad rap because they can be dangerous, but for the most part they're not going to bother you.
And they do a lot of good for the
And
environment.
they do a
too, right?
ton of good for the environment. I mean, they don't want to hurt us, and they're basically eating the stuff that we don't want around anyway. So
Right.
yeah, they're very, very cool. One quick story, the last day that we were there, I'm like working on my computer, no problem, right? You think there's no problem? Oh, there was a problem
Oh, no.
because a big old bug came and crashed into my computer.
What
Look
is
how
that?
big that thing is.
Ah.
I don't know what it was, but it was on my computer. I didn't really like that one.
Oh, I would not like that either.
Yeah. But you know what? You really have to think to yourself that I was a visitor in his world, let's be
Right.
honest. So yeah. That was my journey to the Amazon.
Amazing.
It was really, it's a very special place, and having been there, I even think that like you don't even have to go there to understand how special it is, but it really drove home for me the idea of conservation and how we need to really understand the impact that we're having on the earth and on the environment, and how we need to protect these places.
And what was the most important thing that you learned on this trip? You think that you didn't know before you went?
Well, I really didn't know very much about the science of the carbon sequestration and like holding in all that carbon. Something that I learned actually on this trip, because I went with some scientists on it, and they were explaining to me that how the Earth gets warmer during the day and then it releases a lot of that heat at nighttime, which it makes sense. But what I didn't quite understand or didn't know is that if you fly in an airplane at night, it's a lot worse than flying during the day. Because what happens is, have you ever heard of a contrail? Do you know what a contrail is?
I don't think so.
Basically, when an airplane flies, it releases vapor, water vapor.
Oh, and you can kind of see it behind
And
the plane.
sometimes
Right,
you can
right,
see it
right.
and sometimes you can't. Well, every particle that's in the air, so water vapor is little particles in the air. Every one of those particles is an obstacle that that heat has to get past in order to escape our atmosphere. So if you're flying during the day, the heat is coming down and we're absorbing heat, so it's not as big of a deal to have these things in the air, the contrails in the air. But if you fly at night, you're putting more particles in the air and blocking the heat that's trying to escape at night. So my friend was like, if you're gonna fly, try not to take a red-eye flight, because it's better for the environment to fly during the day. And it's these little things, I think, no one is saying don't fly. Nobody is saying that you can't eat meat. But there's these little things that you can do to change your behavior, and every little bit counts. And I think even more than that, it's just making yourself aware of what's happening. So, I didn't really understand the whole carbon sequestration and how much carbon is being stored in the Amazon, and just the sheer magnitude of that.
Yeah, I didn't really know the topography either of the Amazon. I thought it was so fascinating with the clouds getting trapped by the mountains, the water coming down, and just like the whole cycle.
And how it's a cycle,
amazing.
right?
Amazing.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Well,
so
thank you for taking us to the Amazon.
thank you for
Kathy.
joining me.
We hope you all had fun and learned a lot too. My name's Matt.
I'm Kathy.
And I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.